Hey everybody, haven't done one of these in a while. Little walk and talk in San Francisco again, this time going down Lombard Street, the crookedest street in the world. And no, it's not because of the people who live on it. It is actually a twisty road. I've driven it before. I'm pretty sure I haven't done the walk before, but killing a little time since I got slow here. It's about 5:20 in the morning on Sunday, and it's about 48 degrees, maybe a little colder, plus some wheels. It's quite chilly up here. The young folks and party goers and stuff. I used to hang out a bunch there when I was much younger, 20, 25 years ago with my friends. Lots of nightlife, lots of debauchery and stuff. But we're going up here to the top of Lombard, which heads toward Chinatown, North Beach, all that kind of stuff. You can see in the distance there. So right here at the corner of Hyde and Lombard, just for reference, you can see Hyde and Lombard, the top of the twisty part of the road. There's Coit Tower in the distance, designed after kind of the nozzle of a fire hose because of the Coit family had ties to the fire department. Great view up there. Nice panoramic view at the base of the tower of most of the city. There's some blocked areas with trees and houses and stuff, but really nice panorama of the bay. See the Bay Bridge in the distance spanning across. The older span on the right and the newer span on the left, which is a totally different design with this kind of center post with cross bits going like that. So very different design than the one that's on the left, or sorry, on the right up here, which is more like the Golden Gate Bridge. Typical suspension bridge with towers. Anyway, so that is where we're starting. And got Waymos going here all night. Automated cars, you can hear wow, very whiny sounding. And look, Mom, no driver. Here you go. I'll let it drive by. You can see there's no driver. No driver. It looks like no passenger right now. So we're not at the highest point of the area, but pretty high. This goes up a little bit higher here, up Hyde Street. Hyde Street's a major cable car route. A lot of tourists take all the way down to down towards Fisherman's Wharf down there. But here's where the beginning of the crookedest street in the world starts. It's got a nice brick affair here, and then there are little driveways. Obviously the houses all along this little twisty street. There's little driveways and people living in these little cul-de-sacs off of the main twisty road. And there's a little sign here you can read, "Welcome to Lombard Street and Gardens." There's some graffiti, of course. So there's if you choose to just walk down the steps, you can do that. But since no cars are here, I'm going to walk the actual road because that's the whole point. I'm going to simulate the drive you would take, but with walking. So there's where Lombard continues to go down and straightens out down toward North Beach. But this is the twisty bit. Very touristy, tons of videos around the world. People visiting one of the main spots is to stop here and do a little drive. Or they walk it. There's also another side here. You can walk down this side as well. Pretty boring, just straight down steps and stuff. So here we go, we're gonna walk the actual curve. And you can see there are all kinds of scrapes where people just don't know how to drive. They can't negotiate the turn. There's like chipped off cement and dark marks everywhere. People just don't know how to drive. It's pretty funny. And it's not that narrow. I mean, it's pretty damn wide unless you're in a giant truck. So there's no excuse for all these like chips and scrapes and stuff. So this is all scraped up here, scuffed. But it's a beautiful little spot with little hedges and maintained shrubbery. And guaranteed some very expensive housing here. Some of these buildings are quite nice. These have been trimmed back so they don't look that great, but it can be very beautiful at different times of the year. Again, Coit Tower, Bay Bridge. There's the top of Embarcadero Center. It's 4 tall buildings with the outlines at night. Looks almost like Tron or Escape from New York when they did the map sequence. So there's some private driveways here. This is a shared private driveway with lots of different houses. And I've done some rideshare up here and dropped off people at 1 or 2 of these spots before, so I've actually met people who live here. Again, nice. It looks almost something out of Miami Vice. Kind of 80s era, modern. Again, cut back and scrubby because it's winter, basically, or just about winter. Definitely cold tonight. This sweatshirt's not really cutting it, so as long as I keep moving, I'm okay. But it is cold. And when I say cold, cold for this area, not cold for Wisconsin, not cold for Chicago, not cold for Norway or Iceland or whatever. It's got some big, tall staircases there. Some of these places. But yeah, this is the crookedest street in the world. Again, I'm sure there are plenty of more crooked streets, but this is their famous tagline, in quotes. So the tourists eat it up. There's one of these rental scooters you can get all throughout the city to cruise around. The motors are just powerful enough to go up the really steep hills here. So when I got the Christmas trees up there, different people in these apartments. These are probably condos, actually. I doubt people just rent here. They probably bought these properties. And then we're almost to the end of the crookedest street. So it's not very long, but man, it can take forever because people take a million pictures while they're driving and are super cautious because, again, they're scraping all on the sides here. You see marks everywhere. And then you get down here to, I forgot the name of their street here. What is this one? Lombard, and remember the sidewalks are embossed with the names of the streets. If you don't see street signs, you can find usually each side embossed, but I don't see it embossed there. And I don't see a damn street sign either. Leavenworth, which is also the name of a prison in the US. Oh, there's the Transamerica building peeking through with the little beacon at the top. Look for some stuff I'm going to post pretty soon. My girlfriend had using her magic card again to stay at another fancy hotel. We took another fancy hotel off the bucket list, which was a Four Seasons. Which again, Ritz-Carlton, Four Seasons, the Fairmont up here, a bunch of other famous hotels and hotel chains and stuff. Just way too expensive for most normal people to stay in unless you hit the lottery or you get some special deal. And so she got a special deal with these credit cards with points and stuff, and stayed at some really, really nice places, even when we were in China and Japan recently. So we went to the Four Seasons on Embarcadero. There are 2 of them up here. The Embarcadero is a nicer one. It has the building and ocean view, or bay view is mostly. Golden Gate Bridge, Bay Bridge, Coit Tower, Alcatraz, etc., etc. And the other one is more of a, like, they have like pools and jacuzzis and giant, much bigger fitness center. It's a different take on the Four Seasons experience. So we picked the one that was in a better part of town, in my opinion. and also the great views. So I had took a ton of pictures and video. The streaming wasn't possible, just the signal wasn't very good there. Just a lot of blockage in the building. So I'll have to assemble a video and upload it pretty soon. But yeah, one of the nice shots is the Transamerica building from the sky bridge of the Four Seasons Hotel. So look for that coming up soon. There's another shot down Lombard where it straightens out, up and down the hill, the Coit Tower there, the left side of the Bay Bridge as it heads over to Oakland and Berkeley, and a view back up what I just came down. The crookedest street in the world, Lombard Street. So as you saw when I started the walk, aiming down at the flat area of the marina, Lombard Street. Then it goes uphill pretty steep and then goes down this twisty little drive here. And then again, fairly steep drop down here, flattens out for a bit and goes back uphill again. So one road goes quite a long way and also changes a lot. Leavenworth is pretty much like a lot of the roads around here. It's a roller coaster, straight roller coaster, up and down, up and down. So if I were to walk down here further, there's a big Christmas wreath on that gate there. This one, is this not as steep? There are a couple that are really steep. One's called Jones. And Jones goes all the way through downtown and all the way out here to the North Beach area. You can see Alcatraz in the distance with the lighthouse sweeping around. There it goes, there's the lighthouse. Sweep again. Pretty cool. So it's pretty hazy right now, so you can't really see the landmass very well. But the lights are definitely standing out. So there's Alcatraz. And so this one has a few bumps. Goes down through a few bumps. Not super crazy steep outright. It's like down, flat, down, flat, down, flat. The other side though, as you go across the top over here, it's pretty steep going down, more like a roller coaster drop. But Jones is one of the steepest ones in the city. It's crazy. Really steep going up, really steep going down after it passes some flatter areas. So it's consequently very hard on your brakes. So if you live up here and drive these hills constantly, you're gonna get your brake jobs more times a year than you care to admit, or at least more than once a year, potentially. There's an electric car going by, but it's not a Waymo, but it has that whine. So yeah, that's quick and dirty. Little tour of Lombard Street and the local tourist trap kind of things to see around here. Back up to Crooked Street. So I gotta walk back up anyway, so I'll just go ahead and record again. Keep recording. Up the one-way street. A little easier to see this way with the light. Before I was all backlit, so the road was a little harder to see. Now you can see it much better. Some of the older architecture here, kind of Spanish style, mixed with modern. It's a really weird mishmash of stuff on the street. And again, stairways on either side for pedestrians when it is busy with traffic. Pretty steep, I'm already huffing and puffing. again, back to the view. You can see Coit Tower sends out a beacon out of its top, which will hit the clouds. Bay Bridge. Bay Bridge on the other side. Whew. Got a bit winded. Definitely out of shape. So, and there you go, Embarcadero Plaza or Embarcadero Center. 2 of the 4 buildings peeking out, and Transamerica building next to it. Also called the Transamerica Pyramid. Okay, let's keep going. Whew. It is cold out here too. So this movement's keeping me warm. All right, back to the grand view. View down Hyde Street. You can see the moisture, the cones of light here, and the street lights. And again, Alcatraz and this beacon. Little lighthouse here. There you go. In the distance, Berkeley, the rim of lights of Berkeley. To the right behind the building says Oakland. And you probably heard this before, but since George Lucas is a Bay Area native, he, or at least lived most of his life here in the greater Bay Area, including Marin County, where Skywalker Ranch is. He used to drive by the docks where all the big container ship loaders are stored. Kind of see them over here a little bit. More on the other side of the Bay Bridge. But this is part of this is the bridge here. This is Treasure Island. Used to be a military base. Got decommissioned, became housing. You can drive over there and get a great view of the bay and downtown San Francisco. Anyway, beyond the bridge there, way far away, is little dots right now. That's where those giant container loaders that kind of look like giraffes. That's where I got the idea for the AT-ATs in Star Wars. You imagine them being giant military vehicles that were, pretty destructive. Of course, he didn't have the long neck on it. It made it look more like an elephant than a giraffe. And that's where the design for the AT-AT came from. Based on driving all the time back and forth across the Bay Bridge and seeing those machines that lift the cargo units. And then, of course, after you had an AT-AT, he's like, well, I need something more nimble and smaller to get through forest and stuff for other missions, like in Endor and Return of the Jedi.